While bodybuilding is a noble pursuit for many, it is no longer surrounded by health and often takes away from many people's lives and ends them prematurely nowadays. While many of us assume the accumulation of muscle as an aspect of health, somehow this pursuit has been misconstrued and has started a turn to affect people's health more negatively. Bodybuilding used to have to be a focus around health without the introduction of drugs. If you didn't get your sleep on point, you would not grow. If you had a shit diet, you wouldn't grow either. If you trained terribly, you wouldn't grow. If you partied and drank too much, you would not grow. You had to have healthy habits to grow as a bodybuilder back in the day because there were no extra supplements to supplement your shitty lifestyle. Bodybuilding was automatically tied to health. You could not break the two apart. People weren't excessively lean. People couldn't accumulate ridiculous amounts of muscle that affected their hearts. If you wanted to be buff back in the day, you needed a mostly healthy lifestyle to support that pursuit. With the introduction of steroids, everything changed though. The bigger the better became the standard mindset. Health and longevity were thrown out the window to pursue greatness. Things like sleep, nutrition, and consistency are still needed, but they're not as important for the ridiculous results that could only be provided with one thing: the drugs, the steroids, the disregard for one's health to pursue greatness and bigness. It comes at a major cost though. You have muscle monsters like Cali Muscle. Not that I hate him, I honestly used to really like his content, but people like him saying this in his videos.
Look at them banging. Look at that, that's why they mad. They can't get vascular. They eat all that sodium, all that processed meat. That's why they can't get veins like that. That's healthy. That's healthy, because if you get sick, go to the hospital. If they can't find no vein, you in trouble.
And they're proceeding to get multiple heart attacks before the age of 50.
That's healthy.
I would argue even aesthetics were thrown out the window just to become the biggest and baddest possible. How many of you guys actually think this is a good look? I'd bet no one. Even more aesthetic bodybuilders do not appeal to the general population as well. Very few people really want to be as big as Chris Bumstead. It'd be like being the tallest man in the world. There is a balance to be had. You wouldn't want to be that tall. You don't want to be 7 foot plus, but most men would prefer to be above 6 foot. The sport of bodybuilding is inherently unhealthy. I'm not talking about putting on muscle. That's good. I'm talking about performing actual shows, the actual prep to get on stage. Dieting for months to get on stage when your body has literally been starving for weeks on end, just to show off your glorious muscles. And then you also have the psychological effects from doing these shows, from competing seriously, with many people experiencing eating disorders like binge eating, like I did once when I leaned down super bad. And then you even have body image issues because you're never going to be big enough or never going to be lean enough. Nothing is right and focused on health in the sport itself, which is why I don't seriously participate. Now we also have to include the internet for the 21st century. The envelope gets pushed farther and faster nowadays. When boundaries get shattered more, we see new standards appear. This is like when the 4-minute mile was first broken in 1954 by Roger Bannister. Previously thought an impossible defeat. But not after 2 months that was done, another runner, John Landy, got a 3:58 mile. The next year, 3 other runners broke the 4-minute mile in a single race. With boundaries shattered, our minds expanded. With more improved training, more knowledge, more genetic freaks built for a certain sport, we see ridiculous results on the internet. We see all the genetic freaks of the world together on our phones, the wonder why we can't be them, even if their genetics lined up perfectly with the goal of bodybuilding or whatever pursuit they are choosing. While some people can run a 4-minute mile, not everyone can. We need to get our standards right. I'm not saying don't try. I'm not saying don't lift weights. Everyone should lift weights, but don't expect certain results that aren't in your cards or my cards, like looking like Arnold, which isn't even possible naturally, and then being drawn to SARMs, steroids, TRT, or the fuck's gonna come on the market. Don't seek shortcuts that will take time off your life when you don't even know if you like training that much. You will know when you like training when you've been training for more than a decade. If you haven't even made that time commitment yet, why would you ever consider hopping on something? Before steroids came on the scene, these weird drugs, we've seen many impressive physiques with arguably less knowledge, probably less easy access to nutrition, and less equipment. Yet these gentlemen still got amazing results before steroids were even invented. For them, building muscle was tied to health. You couldn't separate the two. because without a proper lifestyle, putting on muscle is exponentially more difficult. I would argue most of us want a long, healthy life. Bodybuilding, putting on muscle can add to this life and your longevity. My grandpa shows this time and time again as he's still working out at 92. Add to your life, don't subtract from it. If you want to put on muscle naturally, you will need the healthy habits and foundations. There are no shortcuts. There will be no shortcuts, but it's a noble pursuit to improve yourself for years on end. It's an endless self-improvement. I hope we are entering a new natty golden age on the internet, on YouTube. While it's very difficult to prove who is actually natty with easy, smoke and mirrors with the perfect lighting with the internet. But as I get further into my own training, I do believe many of my preconceived notions about training were false as I'm starting to push the envelope for myself. People like Natural Hypertrophy, GVS, Alpha Destiny, Jeff Nippard, Bald Omni-Man are great inspirations to learn from, and they continue to push the limits. I have a playlist of a bunch of different program reviews if you guys need somewhere to get started in the gym, and it's right here so you guys can actually start getting results and not spin your wheels for half a decade like I did. Leave a comment down below, hit that like button. I look forward to talking to everyone in the comments. Peace.